The story unfolds with two men, Leland Jones and William Orser, stepping out of their room at a secluded motor court motel in what seems to be the heart of the Midwest. Their partnership is strikingly unconventional, marked by a significant age gap. Leland is over 50, while William is in his 20s. As Leland emerges from the motel office, William inquires about the delay, to which Leland casually mentions a minor issue with the maid that has since been resolved. He then asks William to fetch him some water, prompting William to head into the diner for a refill. Upon entering the diner, however, William is met with a horrifying sight: the lifeless bodies of patrons and staff alike. A bloody handprint stains the counter, and the motel clerk slumps lifelessly in his chair, while the housekeeper lies sprawled on the floor in a pool of blood. As William begins to fill a pitcher, a young girl enters from an adjoining door, her face contorted in terror at the gruesome scene. In a chilling moment, Orser coolly reassures her before raising his gun and shooting her dead. It becomes clear that these two men are not simply travelers, they are ruthless robbers who target diners and motels in isolated areas. The scene shifts to introduce Tom, a beloved diner owner in Indiana. Known for his kindness and strong family values, Tom is cherished by both his employees and customers. His wife Edie, an attorney, shares a deep bond with him, and together, they are devoted parents to their two children, 16-year-old Jack and 10-year-old Sarah. On this particular day, Jack is excitedly preparing for a baseball game that could enhance his school performance. As the game unfolds, Jack surprises everyone by catching a challenging hit from his opponent, much to the annoyance of Bobby, who had anticipated Jack's failure. Bobby Singer is a classic bully, perpetually tormenting Jack out of sheer jealousy, eager to settle scores beyond the confines of the game. In the locker room, he confronts Jack, attempting to provoke him into a fight. Jack, however, deftly sidesteps Bobby's challenge with a blend of humor and cold detachment, acknowledging Bobby's insults while ironically conceding him the title of winner in their verbal sparring. Later that evening, Bobby and a friend, clearly bored and looking for trouble, cruise around town. Their eyes land on Jack and his girlfriend, Judy Danvers, who are casually sitting on a corner smoking. Fueled by their desire to assert dominance, they plot to attack Jack. Just as they prepare to strike, they narrowly avoid a collision with a pickup truck. Bobby defiantly flashes the middle finger at the occupants but quickly recoils when he sees the intimidating expressions on their faces, Leland and Orser, whose menacing glares send a chill down their spines. Orser mutters his frustration about the surroundings, clearly fed up with the atmosphere. The scene shifts to Tom's diner, where he is winding down for the night, left with only two lingering customers. Eager to close up, he waits for them to finish when Leland and Orser burst through the door, immediately demanding coffee. Tom, a man of peace, informs them that he's closing and can't serve them. Undeterred, Leland raises his voice, insisting on coffee. In an effort to avoid conflict, Tom instructs one of his waitresses, Charlotte, to leave for the night while promising to serve the intruders. As Charlotte heads out, Leland commands Orser to handle her. He seizes her roughly and forces her into a chair, asserting control with menacing authority. Sensing danger, Tom assumes they intend to rob him and nervously claims he has no cash in the register. In a chilling escalation, Leland draws his gun and demands that Tom hand over all his money. To solidify their threat, he coldly orders Orser to kill Charlotte, making it painfully clear that their intentions are deadly serious. The two assailants are intent on eliminating everyone in the diner, driven by a ruthless desire to leave no witnesses behind, a chilling pattern of behavior they've established. Tom seizes a fleeting moment of distraction. In a bold act of defiance, he hurls a pot of scalding coffee into Leland's face. With adrenaline coursing through him, Tom vaults over the counter and swiftly retrieves Leland's fallen gun. Orser fires at him but misses, giving Tom the opportunity to retaliate, striking Orser 3 times in the chest. Leland, desperate and furious, crawls toward Tom and stabs him in the foot. Yet, fueled by sheer determination, shooting Leland in the head and ending the threat. The patrons of the diner stand frozen in disbelief, astonished by the extraordinary bravery displayed by an ordinary man. In the aftermath, while recuperating in the hospital, he watches on television as his staff recount the miraculous events of that night, praising Tom's heroism. His story makes headlines, gracing the front page of the newspaper and dominating local news broadcasts. Upon his release from the hospital, Tom is met by a crowd of townsfolk gathered outside, eager to congratulate him for his bravery. Media outlets converge on his home, but Tom remains gracious yet reticent, insisting he does not view himself as a hero. He humbly asserts that any ordinary person would have acted as he did and requests some peace to rest. Jack beams with pride for his father. In their small town, Tom has become an unexpected symbol of courage. Though his foot injury is manageable, resulting in only a slight limp for a few days, One evening, Edie's instincts are piqued when she notices a black sedan idling ominously in front of their home for an extended period, prompting her to voice her suspicions. Tom, however, dismisses her concerns, suggesting that the vehicle likely belongs to someone from the media and chooses silence over confrontation, unwilling to engage with them. The following morning, as Tom heads to the diner, he finds it bustling with an unprecedented crowd. Edie joins him after her shift, stepping in to support Tom as their overwhelmed staff struggles to manage the influx of well-wishers and curious customers. Amidst the sea of patrons, 3 sharply dressed men enter the cafe, their presence immediately setting them apart as outsiders. They settle at a table, and the leader, Carl, clad in a suit and dark sunglasses, gestures for a cup of coffee. He repeatedly calls Tom Joey, despite Tom's insistence that he is mistaken about his identity. Carl then removes his sunglasses, revealing a face marred by scars, as if expecting recognition to dawn on Tom. Yet Tom remains steadfast, denying any knowledge of him or anyone named Joey. Carl persists, claiming that Tom hails from Philadelphia and clearly believes they share a history. Edie, growing increasingly irritated by their intrusive remarks, demands that they either place an order or vacate the premises for the sake of other customers. In response, Carl produces a $100 bill, asserting that they are now legitimate patrons. Edie's frustration boils over. She threatens to call the police if they do not comply. Faced with her resolve, the men rise and leave. Feeling a gnawing suspicion about their intentions, Edie promptly contacts the sheriff to request an ID check on the trio. Meanwhile, as the men drive along a desolate rural road, a patrol car appears in their rearview mirror, lights flashing ominously. Sheriff Sam Carney, a seasoned officer known for his no-nonsense approach, ready to assert control over the situation. The 3 men, particularly their leader, seem completely unfazed by the sheriff's implied threats. Carl simply informs the officer that they are tourists, offering a patronizing compliment about his work before rolling up the car window and instructing his driver to proceed. Later that evening, when Tom and Edie are back home, Sheriff Sam Carney pays them a visit to discuss the earlier incident at the diner. He warns them that the trio is connected to organized crime from the East Coast. Despite reaching out to his contacts in Philadelphia and even the FBI, he was unable to uncover any information or criminal records associated with Joey Cusack, the name Carl had called Tom. However, he did discover a Richard Ritchie Cusack in Philadelphia, who leads an Irish-American crime family linked to these men. Sam then inquires if Tom recognizes any of these individuals, but Tom firmly asserts that he has never encountered them before, suggesting they must have mistaken him for someone else due to his newfound notoriety from the news. The sheriff probes further, asking if Tom is under witness protection, but Tom vehemently denies it. As time passes, the unsettling presence of these men looms ever larger as they continue to stalk Tom and his family. One day, Tom spots their car heading toward his house. Alarmed, he hobbles back home and calls Edie, urging her to prepare herself with a gun, sensing danger is imminent. Breathless, he rushes inside to retrieve his shotgun, only to find that no one is there. Confused, he is approached by Jack, who asks why his mother was brandishing a weapon in fear before Tom arrived. The following day, while Edie shops at a local mall, she remains blissfully unaware that they are being followed. As she browses for shoes, her daughter suddenly dashes off. In her frantic pursuit, Edie unexpectedly encounters Carl, who casually strikes up a conversation with her, insinuating that her husband is not who he claims to be. Edie fiercely defends Tom, but Carl coolly suggests she inquire about Richie Cusack, whom he claims is Tom's brother. He taunts Edie to ask Tom how he has become so adept at taking lives. Edie, sensing the threat in Carl's words, interrupts him with a stern warning that he will be arrested if he ever approaches her family again. Later that day, Tom's son, Jack, finds himself cornered by Bobby once more and feels trapped with no way to escape. Consumed by rage at Bobby's relentless taunts, Jack erupts in a violent outburst, brutally assaulting Bobby and his friend.
Are you laughing now,
leaving Bobby hospitalized. When Jack returns home, Tom confronts him about his reckless behavior at school. In a moment of defiance, Jack hurls sarcastic remarks at his father, alluding to Tom's past of violence. This provocation ignites a fire of anger within Tom, leading him to slap Jack for the first time in his life. Stunned and hurt, Jack storms out of the house. Later, Tom seeks out Edie, hoping to find her and discuss their son, but instead discovers her in a distressed state. She reveals that Carl had been following them at the mall and demands answers about the brother Carl claims Tom has. Just as Tom is about to respond, they hear the unmistakable sound of a car approaching their home. Stepping outside, they are taken aback to see Carl and his men at their territory, demanding that Tom come with them. When Tom refuses, one of the men retreats to the car and returns holding Jack captive. This shocking display ignites a fierce protective instinct in both Tom and Edie, but Tom urges Edie to retreat into the house and find their daughter for safety. Carl makes it clear that he knows Tom's true identity and insists that Tom has no choice but to accompany them back to Philadelphia for a meeting with some powerful figures. Reluctantly, Tom is forced to lower his weapon as the men release Jack, who rushes inside at Tom's command. When the men demand that Tom get into the car, he stands his ground, asserting that they would be better off leaving his family alone. In response, Carl orders one of his men to take Tom by force and threatens him with a gun to the head, escalating the tension to a boiling point. Edie stands by the window, her heart racing as she witnesses the brutal confrontation unfolding outside. She sees Tom seize one of the attackers by the arm, snapping it with a swift motion. In a shocking display of skill, Tom then turns his attention to the second assailant, firing 2 precise shots into his chest. Carl retaliates, shooting Tom in the shoulder and causing him to drop his pistol. Standing over the injured man, Carl glares down at Tom, demanding to know if he has any last words before he delivers the fatal blow. With a defiant glare, Tom retorts that Carl should have been finished off back in Philadelphia. A sinister smile creeps across Carl's face as he relishes Tom's acknowledgement of their past connection. Just as Carl prepares to end Tom's life, Jack seizes the moment, grabbing a shotgun and firing it at Carl, killing him instantly. Tom rises unsteadily, reclaiming the shotgun from Jack and enveloping him in a protective embrace, desperately trying to soothe his shaken son. The scene shifts to Tom lying in a hospital bed, nursing his gunshot wound. Edie visits him, her expression a mixture of concern and determination as she presses him for the truth about his past. In a moment of vulnerability, Tom reveals his former identity as Joey Cusack, a teenage mob hitman who left that life behind years ago after meeting her. He confesses to having committed murder for both pleasure and profit, transforming himself into the man she knows as Tom Stahl. Edie's reaction is one of disbelief, tears stream down her face as the weight of his confession sinks in. Upon returning home from the hospital, Tom is met with an atmosphere of resentment from his family. He finds Jack lost in thought and attempts to reconnect, asking how he should be addressed now that his past has come to light. When Tom suggests that Jack simply calls him Dad, Jack dismisses him and walks away, clearly struggling with the revelation. Later that evening, Sheriff Sam pays a visit to question Tom about the shootout with Carl's men. As Tom prepares to divulge the truth about his identity as Joey Cusack, Edie intervenes, insisting on being included in the conversation. When Sam tries to steer the discussion back to Tom's complicated past, Edie firmly interjects, defending Tom by stating that he has been a good husband and father for many years. Her passionate defense silences Sam, who ultimately agrees to leave but reminds them that they can reach out for help whenever needed. After Sam departs, Edie turns away from Tom, her face twisted in revulsion. In a moment of raw emotion, she slaps him and unleashes a torrent of anger. The tension escalates, and before they know it, their conflict transforms into an unexpected, passionate kiss. Later that night, Tom is jolted awake by a call from Richie himself. With a chilling undertone, Richie implies a threat, insisting that Tom must come to Philadelphia to meet him, or else he will come to Tom's home. In the dead of night, Tom sets out on a relentless drive to Philadelphia, where he meets a young, rough-looking man in a bar. After the man allowing him to finish his drink, he is driven to an imposing mansion, where he encounters a well-dressed, confident Richie who greets him with an unsettling warmth. Richie invites Tom upstairs for a serious conversation. As they engage in small talk about Tom's new life, the atmosphere shifts when Richie reveals the chaos and loss of status in the mob that stemmed from Joey's disappearance. Now firmly distanced from that world, Tom asks Richie what he can do to make amends. In a shocking turn, Richie ominously suggests that making things right might require Tom's life. Suddenly, Richie's men pounce on Tom, attempting to strangle him. Fueled by adrenaline and desperation, Tom fights back fiercely, overpowering them one by one. Amidst the chaos, Richie retrieves a gun from a nearby drawer and fires at Tom 3 times. Miraculously, Tom evades the bullets and manages to escape the room. Believing Tom has fled through the front door, Richie rushes outside with his weapon drawn. Inside the house, Tom dispatches the last bodyguard and locks Richie out. Determined to protect his newfound family life from the shadows of his past, Tom realizes he cannot leave Richie alive, otherwise, his brother will continue to haunt him. In a moment of grim resolution, Tom shoots Richie in the head, silencing him for good. Upon returning home, Tom finds his family gathered around the dinner table. His daughter warmly welcomes him back by setting his plate at his seat, while his son offers him food, a gesture of acceptance and reconciliation. Only Edie remains distant, yet her presence signifies the weight of their shared journey. Thank you for joining us today. If you're new here, we invite you to subscribe for more engaging recaps in the future. Until next time, take care and have a wonderful day.